fact that um, it's not only the birthplace of Gullah studies. Orangeburg County is also the birthplace of the first and the last black executive directors of Penn Center. I'll say that again. Orangeburg County is the birthplace not only of the Gullah studies in 1929, but it's also the birth of black executive directors of Penn Center since 1969. So Doe Turner discovers this Gullah language at State in Orangeburg in 1929. In 1949, he releases his book, Africanisms in the Gullah Dialect. 20 years after that, 1969, Penn Center, the former Penn School, the first educational institution created to educate freed Africans after emancipated from slavery. The oldest black school, the first school created to educate us by the federal government, quote unquote. It converted into a community institution. And in 1969, Penn Center got its first black executive director. That's 1969. Penn Center had been around since 1862. So the first 107 years, even as we talk about the time that Martin Luther King spent in St. Helena at Penn Center, it wasn't under black leadership. It wasn't under black leadership at that point. The direction wasn't on the Gullah community or the rights. It was on a whole nother agenda. They have used Penn Center for Peace Corps trainings often. You know what I mean? So Penn Center had been used for many different reasons. And speaking of Peace Corps, just to elaborate, Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner, he wasn't just the father of Gullah studies. He was one of the main intellectuals of the African Studies movement, the African American Studies movement of intellectuals who went into these colleges and universities, got this information, and started to regurgitate it back to the community. He's one of those pioneering figures in this African Studies movement. But he also contributed to the Peace Corps training manual, because he had spent so much time traveling to Sierra Leone, to Jamaica, to Brazil, studying the different Creole languages so he could understand the history behind them, that the government used him to create the Creole English manual for Peace Corps. People coming to Sierra Leone. People don't know that. People don't know that about Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner. But there's a Peace Corps connection to Penn Center, and there's a Peace Corps connection to Penn Center and Dr. Lorenzo Doe Turner that we typically overlook and we don't understand. But again, you don't get any of it without Orangeburg. So the first black executive director of Penn Center in 1969 was an Orangeburg man born in Utahville, same place as Sister Myra Davis, in Orangeburg County. His name was John W. Gatson Sr. He attended Claflin. Eventually, he graduated from University, South Carolina. After that, he went down to Beaufort as a teacher. And in 1969, he became the first black executive director for Penn Center. And that's how it got shifted from a non-African agenda into a local Gullah Geechee black agenda. Whatever Penn Center is after 1969 is largely because of the directorship of men, black men like John W. Gatson Sr. and others like Emory Campbell, who also served as executive director. So they transformed the nature of this institution into one that would become the most premier and prominent Gullah Geechee institution. Secondly, you had a man named Bernie L. Wright. He's also from Orangeburg County. He was the executive director from 2002 to 2007. That's a very, very important time to be the executive director, because if you recall, it was in 2006, if I'm not mistaken, that the Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor finally got ratified by Congress, by act of Congress. So you didn't have Gullah Geechee Cultural Heritage Corridor until that time. But people were campaigning to get it done. And during that time, the executive director for Penn Center was an Orangeburg man, Bernie L. Wright. He actually returned back in 2021 to 2023 to function as the interim. And so now, right now, they have a brand new, like only a few months, executive director. I can't think of his name right now, but he's not from Orangeburg. But this is why I said the first and the last Black executive director for Penn Center were born in Orangeburg, just like the studies. That's the second contribution. Baba, chime in on that, please. I know you got something to add to that.
That not only that Bernard Wright, MLK has been down to Penn Center. Felicia Rashad has done some work down at the Penn Center. The Penn Center is a very important place. My very good friend Tammy McCartry, she's connected to the Penn Center. She's here in Orangeburg right now, doing events at the conference center. I always like to say that Orangeburg is a small town with a big history. You know as well that that's one of my favorite sayings. A lot of famous people with Gullah Geechee heritage have been connected to Orangeburg itself. Turner's been here. The men you mentioned, Gatson and Wright, they all came from Orangeburg. The Sierra Leone president, when he first came to South Carolina, he came to Orangeburg. Uh, my good friend John Matthews, the senator, the first time when they went to the Gullah Geechee homecoming and everything, you know, Orangeburg was connected. Mr. Matthews is from Bowman. That's part of Orangeburg County. So, like I say, Orangeburg is a small town with a big history in so
Yeah,
many different ways, and people just don't realize how important um, Orangeburg has been to not only Gullah Geechee history, it's also been important to civil rights history with the legend, Mr. Cecil Williams, who is doing his thing here with his museum that he's trying to open up here. Man, Orangeburg is. I love being from Orangeburg, man. Orangeburg is a good. When I was coming up, it was a good place to grow up.